Hey guys, I want to go through this sample argumentative essay paper with you pretty closely. Please watch this, and then if you have any questions, let me know. This is our last essay in this class, and next semester or whenever you decide to take English 101, you will do a research paper that's argumentative. So it will be kind of like this essay, except you'll go a step further and find what experts on the topic have to say about the issue. And we'll talk then about how to incorporate research into our own paper. But for this paper, very importantly, this all needs to be from you. This all needs to be your own words. You don't need to have paraphrased anything from online or taken any information that's not yours. If you do that, it needs to be cited. And we really, for this particular assignment, I really want us to stay away from doing citations and just write our opinions, okay? Now, that being said, when we do write our opinions, we don't want to say things like, in my opinion, I think. That in a way cheapens or maybe even weakens our argument a little bit. We want to be the expert on the topic, but I don't want you to use internet sources for this essay. If you have any questions about that, or if you don't think that it's possible for you to write this essay without using internet sources, I need you to make sure you contact me this week, either through email or call me in my office, and we can talk about a way that you could use a source or two. But I will tell you it will be more work to do that. So let's look at this example essay, and this is titled More Bang for the Buck. And this is about the really controversial issue right now and in the past few decades about gun control in the United States. And this has been even more heightened by the recent school shooting in Nashville next week, where sadly a few children and faculty members, teachers lost their lives. And so this is something that we all want to get better in the United States. There's just a huge disagreement about whether, we as citizens, whether our government, our lawmakers actually make some kind of law or make an amendment to a law making gun control stricter in the United States, or if we don't do that out of the fear and out of the concern that it will make our land less safe and even maybe take away rights from citizens that citizens need to have. And so this writer, this young lady who wrote this essay for Mr. Halls a few semesters ago, she took the side that gun control should not be stricter, that it would cause more problems than it would help. So her introduction is rather short, and I put her thesis statement in yellow so that you could see it clearly. She says, gun control is a heated issue as of late. Social media, television, and radio are constantly covering stories concerning gun control. No one can go through a day without hearing a related story or debate regarding pro-gun control or anti-gun control. Although pro-gun control activists want strict gun laws to make the world a safer place, this is not a wise idea because gun ownership is a constitutional right. Laws only restrict law-abiding citizens, and banning guns would not stop violence and murder. So we can tell from, let's talk about her thesis statement first. She does have an essay map that we've talked about. So her first reason is because gun ownership is a constitutional right. So that should be what her first body paragraph is about. Her second body paragraph should be that laws would only restrict law-abiding citizens. And her third body paragraph should be about how banning guns would not stop the violence. Now, let's talk for a minute about her introduction. The purpose of the introduction in an argumentative essay is to kind of set up what the issue is. What's the controversy? Why is this something that we're even debating? And I think she could have done a better job of that. Hers is not ineffective, but it could be better. For example, right here where she says no one can go through a day without hearing a related story or debate regarding gun control, that's not really true. I go through a lot of days without hearing these debates, and you probably do too. I think a better way to put that would be that, surrounding the recent school shootings or surrounding the recent events in our country, gun control and what American citizens should do about it has become a big controversy, something like that. So really think about what you're saying. That's one thing. I feel like many times when we write essays, and I remember doing this too, we want to just get them done. So we think about, how can I state this, generically, not put a lot of thought into it, but still be effective. And I feel like for our introductions, lots of times we do that. But please put thought into it. When I think about gun control, when I think about why it's an issue, the first thing that comes to mind is because of these recent school shootings. Every time this happens in the news, and if you watch the news, or even if you're on social media like Facebook or Twitter, you see this. When an event happens is when people get very passionate about gun control, or the fact that we shouldn't have stricter gun control, that we should. So put some thought into your introduction and explain why the issue that you're writing about is an issue at all. So her first body paragraph, her topic sentence, and remember, very importantly, each topic sentence needs to correlate to your thesis statement. So we know from her essay map and her thesis statement, like I said a minute ago, her first body paragraph has to be about the fact that gun ownership is a constitutional right. So she says, above all, and that's a good transition device to show that to her and to her reader, presumably, this first point is her strongest point. So she says, above all, owning guns is a constitutional right given to citizens by the Second Amendment. This amendment starts by discussing a regulated militia and then states that the right to bear arms should not be infringed upon. The Founding Fathers were not only worried about the military, but also the American citizens, so they could defend themselves and their country should the need arise. The Second Amendment applies to defending the American people against anyone who threatens harm, including criminals, in an overzealous government. Some people may not realize that the president is the commander-in-chief of the military and could possibly have the military turn on its own citizens. If this scenario ever happens, people would need guns to defend themselves. If the Second Amendment is repealed by the government, then nothing would stop the government from taking away the other rights given to the citizens under the Bill of Rights. Additionally, the pro-gun crowd fears that criminals will cause harm to them or their family without a way to protect themselves. So all of this was things that she already knew. None of this was anything she had to look up. Okay, her second body paragraph, and by the way, she should have her last name before the page number, and the title shouldn't be there because we're writing in MLA format. She uses a transition device again in her second topic sentence. Furthermore, strict gun laws would only restrict law-abiding citizens, and if we look back at her essay map, that is her second point. If the government issued waiting periods for buying firearms, that would not stop criminals from obtaining firearms. Criminals usually do not buy their guns from stores. They obtain the guns through theft or the black market. Since criminals would not be logging where they received the gun, the recording and tracking of firearms would not be accurate. Along with the waiting period and tracking of guns, the gun-free zones only limit the law-abiding citizens and do not deter criminals who are seeking to do harm. Criminals typically look for easy targets, and the quote-unquote no weapons allowed sign is not going to stop criminals. However, armed citizens will. That should really say, armed citizens will abide by these restrictions. And so her point is that criminals will not follow the law anyway, so forming stricter gun laws would not deter them from having guns, but it would limit the number of citizens who seek to do good who would carry guns. Okay, third body paragraph. Arguably, great transition usage there. A gun ban would not stop violence and murder anyway. If a criminal wanted to murder a mass number of people, they would find other ways without guns. On April 5th, 2013, two brothers used homemade bombs at the Boston Marathon, killing 3 people and injuring hundreds more. During the attack of the Islamic terrorist group Al-Qaeda against the United States on September 11, 2001, the terrorist group, commandeered airplanes and crashed the planes into the targets. Additionally, a domestic terrorist named Timothy McVeigh used a rental box truck loaded with ammonium nitrate fertilizer and diesel fuel mixture to attack a federal building in Oklahoma City, which is considered the deadliest attack on American soil prior to the attack that occurred on September 11, 2001. Now, I want to talk for a minute about this. Now, I know that I said, and I meant that this essay should be your words. It should be all knowledge that you have. if you choose a topic where you feel like you have to look up some things, like if she hadn't known about this Boston Marathon killing, what date it was, the details of it, she may have had to look that up. And to avoid that being plagiarism, you need to keep up with where you got that information. If you feel like you have to do some research for your topic, I need you to let me know before the day it's due, soon this week as possible, that you would like to use a couple sources. And what I'm going to do in that case is I'm going to find you or help you find a couple of academic journal sources that you can use and easily cite in your paper. It will take you a little bit more work and probably at least 30 minutes more time than if you write it all from your knowledge, but I can help you if you would like to use 1 to 2 sources. I don't want you to use more than 2. In English 101, we'll learn a whole lot more about how to use and find and incorporate sources. Okay, this fourth body paragraph is what's called a counter argument paragraph. In ENR 098, you don't have to include this, but if you want to get a head start on how to do this for English 101, you can. This is basically when you acknowledge that there's another side and you try to refute the other side to your issue. So this student says, incidentally, some actors are jumping on the bandwagon of making fallacious notations about gun control. So in other words, there are people who believe that there should be stricter gun laws, but that's not right. Following the massacre in Las Vegas, where Stephen Paddock went to a hotel room and started shooting into a crowd at a nearby concert, and that is a sentence fragment. In the bizarre land of the celebrity cult, late-night comedian Jimmy Kimmel has suddenly been anointed America's conscience and voice of reason. Moreover, it was later discovered that Paddock bought his guns legally from Nevada and Utah gun shops and were subject to a thicket of local, state, and federal rules. Now, I'll be honest with you, this paragraph doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you want to do a counter-argument paragraph, you need to be clear that although some, gun control supporters believe that, guns should be limited in sales, that's not true, and then you would refute that. My advice, honestly, is to leave out this last body paragraph. Just do your 3 main reasons that you believe that your side on the issue is right. Okay, her conclusion is pretty to the point. She kind of restates her 3 main reasons, and she, solidifies her statement at the end. Considering all the arguments regarding gun control, taking guns away from citizens would not make the world a safer place. So make sure that you restate your main point and restate your main 3 reasons in your conclusion. And this is a pretty good example of how to do a conclusion. Okay, so brief review. Don't use sources. If you feel like you have to use sources to do your topic justice, let me know ASAP, and I will help you do that, okay? And in order to do that, I may need you to come in and meet with me in person. I can email with you and show you how to, but like I said, it will cost you a little bit more work. So if you can come up with a topic that you feel like you know enough about to do it justice, that probably is the best move. I will try to grade your thesis statement checkpoints from last week as soon as possible. Please let me know if you have any questions about this essay, and this will be to you next Monday.